So our maxim for this week is, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for rulers to crave beer. And now we're on the analogy section. And remember, the analogy is going to be showing the cause and effect of our saying, and then comparing that to a similar situation that has the same cause and effect. And so what is this maxim trying to say? Well, the action, where it says Maxim's action, it is a leader who drinks. And what is the effect of him drinking? Well, what happens when you drink? You start to lose some of your ability to make good decisions. And so perhaps he's less effective at leading, or he's less effective at running his country. So the drinking specifically is a problem here as opposed to other things. And so what I'm getting at here is that drinking specifically affects your decision-making abilities. It does. And so if that is the characteristic of a leader, meaning that that is his job to make decisions that will affect lots of people, drinking is not going to be something that he should do, because that specific act affects his specific role. So we need to think of another situation where somebody's role or somebody's job that they have would be affected by doing a specific thing. Like, it wouldn't make any sense because that's what their job is. So perhaps we could do something like a runner, okay? So a runner's job depends upon having healthy lungs, right? Being able to breathe. And so it wouldn't make any sense for a runner to be a smoker, because they are destroying the very thing that makes them a good runner. And so perhaps the dissimilar action here could be a runner who smokes. It's just like a leader who drinks. And the effect, the parallel effect, is that it'll make the runner less effective at running a marathon, because the ability of the lungs to work properly is necessary for that job of running. And so doing something that is detrimental to your lungs working is not good for a runner. Can you think of any other situations where doing a certain thing actually is working in opposition to what you are trying to accomplish? What are the specific characteristics of that role that you have, or that someone would have, where if they do something, it would be the opposite of that? And so perhaps, there are a couple wrestlers in the class. Perhaps they could have a situation where eating fast food, right, would actually impair their ability to do their job at wrestling. It would make it so their body is inefficient at metabolizing food. It would make it so they have an excess of fat, so their muscle mass is decreased. And so eating fast food would actually be the opposite of what a wrestler would want to do, or really anybody in a sports situation. So try to think of other situations like that where, oh, I just thought of something. Let's see, perhaps you could think of a gardener who is planting things in containers, and the gardener actually decides, do you have to do that right here? Couldn't you have taken that somewhere else and done it there and then come back? So the gardener actually decides, when the gardener's planting, the gardener decides to use soil that's full of clay and rocks. And so a gardener who uses soil made of clay and rocks, what's the effect of that? Well, the gardener is going to be less effective at the thing that the gardener is trying to do. So what is the gardener trying to do? He's trying to grow healthy plants. And having soil made of clay and rocks is the exact opposite thing that you want out of your plants, because it's not going to lead to healthy plants. It's going to lead to really, really unhealthy plants. They hate clay and rocks. And so this is a situation of making a decision that is actually working in opposition to what you're trying to accomplish. One more thing, I almost forgot. So when you are doing your 9 narrative components, for the recognition, you are going to be basically putting what your analogy is saying. And so if we use the one with runners, we would be recognizing that smoking cigarettes actually makes you a worse runner. The reversal is that the runner is less effective in a race. The suffering, what is the suffering that happens as a result of that runner being a smoker? Well, the lungs can't work. The runner loses. The runner dies of lung cancer. Who is your agent here? Well, in this one, the agent would be a marathon runner. The action, well, what is he doing? Well, he's running a race. The time is during the race. The place is on a race course. The manner, how is the runner doing his job of running right now? Think of some adverbs to describe if he's a smoker. What are some ways to describe how he's doing that job? And cause, you need to think of why would it happen this way that the runner ends up being ineffective in this situation? Why? So with your analogy, please start out with the words just as. So you will say, just as a marathon runner who smokes cigarettes is less effective in a race, so too a ruler who drinks a lot is less effective at running a country. Okay, so always start out with just as. So just as this leads to that, so too this leads to that. And I want you to know that if you come up with something that's a little bit obscure of an analogy, so an analogy that most people wouldn't immediately be like, oh yeah, I get that. You need to kind of explain it afterwards. After you say your analogy, you need to write a sentence to explain how the two situations are very similar.